What would you do if you were out testing a high-powered electric scooter and a bunch of RC cars started hot-dogging around you?
Oh, man.
In this video, watch us review the Currus Panther, tour the famous Red Rocks Amphitheater, and race a few RC cars.
Okay, on your mark, get set, go!
But before we get started, let me introduce you to a Panther behind this door, the Currus Panther high-performance electric scooter to be exact. But is this so-called Panther more like the Black Panther, powerful and regal, or is the Currus Panther more like the bumbling and comedic Pink Panther? Let's find out.
Stage. We're not getting that stage shot today.
We are here at Red Rocks Amphitheater. Some of the greatest bands have played here at Red Rocks. I've been here personally to see Weezer and Piano Guys. Today we wanted to check it out on this beautiful day in Colorado and share with you an amazing scooter. I've got Andrew, the scooter guru, and he's going to share with us the Currus Panther.
Well, yeah, we've got the Currus Panther here, whose claim to fame is going 50 miles per hour, has a 75-mile range, and weighs only about 105 pounds. It's almost as if a WEPED and a DUALTRON had a baby, and this is what came out of it.
All right, a WEPED and a DUALTRON had a baby, and now we have the Currus Panther. What was the speed you said?
50 miles per hour, which I have confirmed. It does go 50 miles per hour. Pretty sweet ride.
Woo! You're flying, man. How'd that feel?
Felt great. Loved it. Felt pretty smooth there.
All right, we're gonna go test it, ride it around these beautiful Red Rocks formations.
All right, we got the whole team.
Got the whole team here.
You want me to flip it over?
Andrew and I are just two guys on our PEVs who love to have fun. So when we came across a dad and his kids racing RC cars, of course, we had to challenge them to a race.
On your mark, get set, go! Woo! Oh. You're the winner! Was that your car that won?
Yeah.
The winner! All right, that was Ian and his kids, and they were racing RC cars. The Currus, unfortunately, was left in the dust by the RC cars. Those cars, though, top out at 60 miles an hour, and they've been racing around there on that parking lot, so that's kind of their home turf. If Andrew had a little more practice, he'd be able to compete, but still a ton of fun.
It's got a 60-volt battery with the 35 amp hours, equaling to 2100 watt hours. Similar to the DUALTRON Thunder and also the Wolf Warrior 11 Plus. It's got really good range on it. It does state 75 miles range, which I really don't think I'd ever get out of it just because of how I ride. If I rode it in first gear and it was pretty flat, that's about the only time I think I would actually get that type of range out of it. One thing I love about this thing is the bright light. It has extremely bright light. I very seldomly find a scooter that I love the light on it. The only one I actually think is worthy of nighttime riding is the Wolf Warrior 11, and now the Wolf Warrior King that's coming out here as well. It's also got a motorcycle grade horn. It's got hydraulic braking and also has the option for ABS, anti-lock braking system, but I turn off ABS on almost all my scooters because it gives that little jerkiness feeling. It's like a DUALTRON and a WEPED had a baby, and what I mean by that, it has a DUALTRON chassis. It uses the Mini Motors controller, the i3 display, and also the throttle, which is a lot smoother than the QSS4 displays, and then also has the Mini Motors controllers and Mini Motors as well, but then has a WEPED body type of thing on there. So this is really inspired by the WEPED design. The folding mechanism is really cool too.
For a high performance scooter that folds as solid as this does, it's very impressive. Why don't we just fold it right here while we're here?
Oh yeah, we'll fold it right here. It's got this huge pin on here and it just folds into each other. So let me pull it out a little bit. And then it has a locking mechanism right here too. So this is what's really awesome, is for a high-powered machine that allows you to lock it into itself when folded. Most scooters we're finding that are in the heavy range or the high-powered scooter range, they don't allow you to lock it into itself when folded, which makes it really hard to lift or get into a car.
Yeah, for the amount of power that they've put into this scooter and still allow you to fold it and lock it like it is, makes it very portable for a high performance scooter. And the other thing that I like about it is it looks like a beast, but it doesn't weigh as much as you think. You know, when I looked at this, I thought maybe it weighed 130 pounds, 150 pounds, but how much does this weigh?
It weighs 105 pounds.
Yeah. Lift with your legs, not with your back.
Exactly.
105 pounds though, most people should be able to do that. 105 pounds, impressive for a high performance scooter. The fact that it can fold and lock like this makes it easier for us to carry in and out of places like Red Rocks Amphitheater.
Let me actually pull this up so it's a little bit easier for you to see how the handlebars fold on this thing. But yeah, if you see this is one thing cool to look at, is this pin. It's a really big heavy duty pin. A lot bigger than the Kabu Wolf one, which I think that they should actually improve on the Kabu Wolf pin. The folding mechanism is awesome on the Kabu Wolf, but their Achilles heel, I think, is that little tiny pin that is easily bent, where this one's not going to bend at all. It's gigantic. So then you just shove that in there, and of course that one is pretty fail-proof there. So it's got keyed entry and also a volt reader. But the folding mechanism is kind of cool. Let me kind of face it towards you. You push this thing down, pulls up like this, and then it pops out like that. So it's a really, really strong folding mechanism. There's no screwing involved. Super strong clamp on there.
Let's see you put it back together.
Yeah, so you just, oh. So you lift this thing up, get that space, and then shove that in. Now it's locked into place.
All right, solid.
Yeah, and then it's also got this really cool button for the dual motors right here. Okay. So it's different than that little cheap little plastic thing that you see on things. Also has a really cool deck lighting as well too. It's not as cool as a WEPED lighting, but it has some really cool deck lighting in the braking. It has this acrylic piece on here. And also this thing changes colors when you turn it on. Initially when I opened it up and started tightening the bolts just to make sure they were all tightened, they're really, really strong bolts. That's one thing that drives me insane about a lot of these scooters we're seeing. They're made in China, so they've used some really cool components on it, but what they'll do is they'll cheap out on the bolts. That's one thing I wish Kabu would change. I love this about the scooter, is that when I tighten it up, it didn't feel like I was gonna strip the bolts at all. So there's a few things I think they could improve on the scooter. One thing would be that they give you the option to choose what tire you want. It only comes in off-road tires, which I don't think is that big of a deal, but a lot of people like street tires. I'll always choose an off-road tire anyways. The other things I'm not the biggest fan of is there's this big cord down here that hangs from the front tire, and essentially if you're on low brush going through some off-roading stuff, there is a chance for that to get snagged on some type of twig and cause some issues. The other thing is it has tons of bolts. I love the strength of the bolts, but there's a lot of bolts to check. When I checked all the bolts when I first received it, there was no issues at all, but having to go through all these bolts every single time would be a little bit tedious, so I would definitely suggest using Loctite like most scooters. For being how rugged this body is of the scooter, the kickstand itself is pretty flimsy, so it doesn't really match up with the whole thing. One thing that was mentioned on Electric Scooter Guide was the suspension causing issues with instability when you're riding fast. I didn't notice that at all. It definitely could use a steering damper, but that's all of the high-powered scooters, even the Kabu Wolf. The Kabu Wolf feels great, but I think it needs a steering damper just for safety reasons. I think you should really consider this scooter if you're looking at a WEPED or a DUALTRON. Essentially, it's very similar to a DUALTRON Thunder, except for it has a really bigger stem on it. It doesn't have that single stem. I like this type of suspension better than a swing arm suspension. I've been able to get it up to 50 miles per hour and had no issues at all.
The option to be able to go on-road, off-road. When I have this in dual motors and just geared up and ready to go, it feels like this thing is just unbridled power, ready to take off. I love the big spacious deck and being able to put my foot back here. This is a fun, high-powered electric scooter. What are some of the things that you love about this scooter, Andrew?
Great off-roading. It's kind of a mix between what I like better off-roading, this or the Kabu Wolf. So they both have their strengths and their cons. I like this suspension a little bit better. I love that it has off-road tires. I know that some people would rather have the option to switch it, but I love the off-road tires. It's a 3.5-inch wide, 11-inch tire. The folding mechanism is by far one of my favorite folding mechanisms for handlebars. There's only one scooter that I actually love using at nighttime, and that's going to be the Kabu Wolf. So I just added this to that list there as well.
So do I think the Currus is more like the Marvel Black Panther or the cartoony Pink Panther? Aside from the weak kickstand and the 101 bolts to check and tighten, this powerful beast is all Black Panther. To learn more about the Currus Panther or any of the other scooters that we've tested, check out our full written review at our website, gotscooter.com.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure when you guys ride, wear your safety gear, all right? And we'll see you in the next video.